This is my FLUX Beambox, and it is by far my favorite tool in the shop. It's a big old laser. It's a 40-watt CO2 laser. Now, CO2 lasers have a laser tube in them, and those laser tubes get used up the more that you use the laser. And the laser tube in this one is dead, so I need to replace it. And that's what we're going to do today, is I'm going to show you how to replace the laser tube in a FLUX Beambox laser. Hey, I'm Dave, and welcome to my garage. Before we get started, we need to gather some of the tools that we're going to need in order to get the laser tube out of the Beambox. We're going to need a small pair of needle nose pliers, a set of cutters, a pair of scissors, 2 ink pens. Now, these are kind of important. You need to make sure that these ink pens have a little bit of a tapered end on them. We're going to be ending up sticking these inside of the tubing and the inside of the laser, and that's going to block the water to keep it from dripping out. So we need to make sure we have 2 of these for each side of the tubing, a flat head and a Phillips head screwdriver, some electrical tape, a single zip tie, and the funnel that came with your laser, as well as some water. Those are the things that we need. So once you gather those, then we'll get up to moving this laser over to the table, and we'll get started with changing this tube. So now that we've got this moved over to a table and turn around backwards so we can access the back of the laser, we have to pop this little screw out that's right here. Now, I don't actually have the screw in because I didn't put it back in after my first laser tube replacement because I knew I would do it again. So we just pop that little screw out real quick, lift this up, and this will expose the entire laser tube. And this is what we're going to be working with. All right, so now that we've got the laser tube out, we need to unbox the new one and get it ready and prepped to install back into the laser. These little black rubber pieces that we had on there before, I wrapped them back around the tube approximately where they were before. We're going to take some black electrical tape and we're going to wrap them back around. We don't want them too tight because we're going to need to move them to put them onto the braces when we reinstall it back in. But we need it just snug enough that it doesn't move on its own, and then the braces themselves will hold the tube in place once we put it back into the laser. And there we go. Our laser tubes are ready to install. I've moved the laser back over to the work table, and we've attached the exhaust hose to the back. we plugged the power in and we attached the Wi-Fi dongle to it, and I powered it back up. Now this is a really important step. When the laser tube arrives, it's completely empty. But in order to function properly, it needs to be flowing with water. And this water is part of the cooling system that will keep the laser alive and make sure that it doesn't dry out on you. So what we need to do is we need to run the pump for just a little bit, and it will cycle the water back into the tube, removing the air bubbles, because the more air bubbles we have, the less coolant we have. And then we have to check the water reservoir to make sure there's enough water in it. And if there's not, we need to fill it up, and then we need to run the pump again, and we need to make sure that there's no bubbles, and then we need to check the reservoir. So it's an over and over cycle to do it, but I'll try to speed it up and show you how I do that here. So over on the touch screen for the laser, to turn the pump on, we go into maintain. Now maintain is a nice way to test the electronics in the laser and to make sure that your motors work, and you can do some other fun stuff from here too. But what we're looking at right here is we're looking at this button called pump. Now when we activate pump, it's going to turn the pump on and it will start sifting water through the laser tube. And there you can hear it fire up. The next thing for us to do is to reset the laser tube usage. That way we know how long our laser's been running. To do that, we start at the home screen and we click on Settings and Machine. And then right down here, we have Reset Laser Usage. Right here, you can see that my laser tube usage is 42.2 hours. So if we reset the laser usage, it's going to ask us, do you want to reset it? And we're going to say, okay. And then we're going to back out, and we're going to go back into the machine, and you'll see right there that laser tube usage is now 0. This will be an accurate way for us to know how much time our laser's been running, so we can predict when we need to buy our next laser tube. Now that all that is taken care of, we can do our initial test cut to make sure that our laser is up and functioning. So that's what I'm going to do now. The first cut just finished. Let's see what it looks like. And look at that. And that's it. That is how you change the laser tube in a FLUX Beambox laser. The same process applies for the Beambox Pro because the models are very similar. Now the BEMO, I don't know quite yet how to change that laser tube. I'm assuming the process is going to be pretty close. I have a tube up there ready in case I need it. So as soon as I need to change the tube in that one, I'll also do another video on showing you how to take care of that. So that's it for now. You know what to do. Have a good one.